Hey friend, it's Ange here, and today on the show, we're talking about creating a life that feels really meaningful to you. Not just one that looks impressive to others, that looks good on paper, one that actually feels really good to you. I'm talking about the kind of life where you're proud of how you're showing up, you're proud of how you're taking care of your body and how you feel in your body, and you prioritize spending quality time with the people that you love. And when you're with them, you are fully present and you are really enjoying those moments together. And the work that you do, you're really proud of the work that you're doing and the contributions that you make in the world. I'm talking about that kind of life because I think sometimes we get so caught up in achieving more accolades or just other things that look good to other people, that sound impressive, but don't really get us what we're really after, which is this feeling of true joy, this feeling of being really present with the people that you love and feeling good in your body, feeling proud of the difference that you're making in the world. Sometimes that impressive stuff doesn't get us that result. And I'm bringing this up because I've been seeing this reoccurring theme in my life in this past season that I've been in. So let's address that real quick. So if you've been a regular listener of the show, you may have noticed that I took a break from the show for a bit, and it was unannounced. I just stopped recording podcast episodes. And the reason is twofold. One, I had some major projects I was working on that I wanted to wrap up before I had my baby girl. And I'm going to talk about some of those projects because I feel like on the outside, they're very impressive on paper. And an older version of myself would have been like, this is everything, right? This is so important. But as I went through that, God showed me that that was great because I love the connections that I had and the people that I worked with. And what was even greater is just those small moments that I had at home with my family, being present. And I was like, this is really what it's about. Like, this is why I do everything I do, so I can enjoy more time with the people I love. And let me not get those mixed up, like chasing something on the outside and being really present with my family. So I'll talk about that in just a bit. So that was one reason, finishing those projects before baby girl came. The second reason was because I just wasn't feeling it energetically. And you know, on the show, I talk a lot about energy, and I really believe everything is energy. That's how God made the world. Everything vibrates at a certain frequency. And I also believe that whatever energy you put into something, you often get that out of it. So what I was feeling like is I felt like a lot of resistance to recording because I just felt like so many other things were so like a priority. Like I was going to have a home birth, so I had to get everything ready in the house. I had to wrap up these projects, all these other things. And I just felt like if I was going to record it, it was because I was forcing it, not because I felt inspired to share something. So it was coming from a catabolic energy if I was going to show up. And I wanted to be mindful of that because I was like, if I put that energy into something, that's what I get out of it. But yet other people were telling me, you want to be consistent. Oh, it'd be so bad if you just stopped recording. That would, that'd be bad for like the downloads, the whatever algorithm, whatever it is. And I was just thinking like, what feels right to me though? And that's really how I want to live my life. Because the world will tell you so many things on the outside of what you should be doing. And I want to focus more on what feels aligned for me. And I feel like when I do that, when I tune in, when I connect with God more, the results are just so much better. And I feel proud of how I'm showing up. And it reminds me too, at the end of the day, who's in control? God is in control. Like I know everybody wants to say, if you do this thing, you'll create this result and stuff, but it's like, who's really in control here? Who really gives you these opportunities? And that's where I'm seeing where I'm like, I want to prioritize my relationship with God. I want to prioritize my relationship with my family. And then I feel like when I, in myself and get my own energy right. And when I work on those things, then I will create a really awesome harvest because of like me, like showing up with good energy because I'm aligned, I'm connected with God. I'm focused on the relationships that matter most to me and I'm taking care of myself well. Like those are the priorities over all these external things you need to do so you can get this certain result, so you can look more impressive on the outside, but not feel good on the inside, So what was my point here? My point was the two reasons was the energy wasn't there for me. And again, this is another thing I've been thinking about is I know discipline is important. Like, I don't think that we should only do what we feel like doing, because if that was the case, then we probably wouldn't do a lot of things that are really good for us. But what I do believe is that we should do our best to bring in the anabolic energy into something. So you can be disciplined and still show up with anabolic, that positive, uplifting, building energy. It doesn't mean that in order for you to be disciplined, you have to have a lot of resistance around something. And then you're like, I'm so disciplined. I'm just going to work through it. I'm going to push myself through it. I'm going to get it done. And that means you're disciplined, because you could feel resistance around something. That's the catabolic energy. Like you feel overwhelmed, you feel stressed, or you're just like, I don't really want to do this. Like I remember times when I used to run outside in the winter and it was icy. I didn't want to get up in the morning to go outside in the freezing cold and do a run. But I would say I was disciplined and I did it. But I would also say I didn't do it with catabolic energy. Like I'd show up, I'd feel the resistance, and then I would be like focusing on my why. Like, why am I doing this? Oh, because I want to have a strong, healthy body so I can feel good in my body. I want to make myself proud today. I envisioned me taking a hot shower after the run, feeling proud that I got out and I moved my body, and I'm being stronger for my family and healthier for them, so I have more joyful time with them. Like as I thought through those things, that shifted my energy up. And then I showed up and I did the thing and I brought good energy into it. So what I'm an advocate for is when you feel the catabolic energy showing up, can you shift it to a higher energy state and then show up with that kind of energy? It reminds me of something Kathy Heller says, and I love Kathy. She says that peace is the standard. And I've been really thinking about that in my life. Like before I do something, like setting the foundation of peace. It's like turning the radio station to peace and making a decision from there, showing up from that kind of energy. And also just checking in, like if somebody wants me to do something, I'm like, do I feel like that ultimately generates a peaceful feeling to me? If it doesn't, it's like peace is my standard. That's the frequency I want to be on. That's the channel, the radio station I want to listen to. So I hope this little rant here serves you, but that's why I felt like despite what everybody says about consistency, showing up or whatever, you have to do this to be relevant. People are going to forget about you. They're not going to, I just felt like I want to do what feels right to me. And I want to show up with good energy. If I'm going to do something, I want to do it with good energy. And then I started checking in with myself, and I was seeing these other areas in my life where I was showing up and doing things because it's what someone else said to do, or because it was more impressive. And I was forgetting, again, who's really in charge and what relationship do I need to prioritize, mine with God. And really checking in and saying, why are we doing this? Like you're creating all the stress around chasing this thing when really all you really want is to have more time with the people that you love and more joyful moments. And you have that here right now available to you. And when you realize that, you show up and you cherish it. And then that good energy ripples and the opportunities come to you. It just reminded me like this postpartum season, like I haven't done any, it's been a week postpartum. I'm talking about even prior to postpartum, the last trimester of my pregnancy. I haven't really done anything for outreach to find opportunities for speaking, for other things I've been a part of. And I feel like when I've surrendered, they come to me. I'll get it's like a knock on the door. Hey, Ange, you want to work with Google on this project? Hey, Ange, you want to work with a celebrity around this talk? Hey, Ange, do you want, this is real stuff that's been happening. Do you want us to represent you for this speaking bureau? And we really feel like you do very well in the space. Like I didn't even just random emails. And it reminds me of okay, the power in surrendering. I'm not saying don't do anything. But I'm saying prioritize the relationship with the one who creates everything. I didn't know this was going to be a faith-filled episode, but I want you to think about that. And what it looks like for you is probably looks very different to someone else. It might look like to someone else that they're reading the Bible every day. It might look like to you that you're doing a meditation and you're just connecting inward and you're like, hey, God, speak to me. What do you want me to know? That kind of stuff, whatever it feels like to you, but that relationship. I feel like that needs to be prioritized. And then I thought about too, now that we're on relationships, this was not even in my podcast notes, but we're going to flow with it because clearly it wants to be said. The relationship for me that is also very important in my life is my relationship with my husband, my marriage. and how that plays such a role in everything else that I create and do. And the same thing for him. It's the foundation. It's like when our relationship is thriving, we're thriving as parents too. It has that effect on how I'm showing up as a parent. And it also has an effect on how I'm showing up in my work. I mean, everything impacts each other. And I see this with my clients because I do a lot of career work with people. And I see too where when their career is really suffering, their relationships get impacted, the ones that matter most to them, like their marriage. They start to not show up well in their marriage, or they're bringing that stress to their family, or they're not being the kind of mom that you want to be because you feel like your work is really stressful and you don't feel like you can be present with your kids. Like, it's a domino effect. It's all related to each other. So it's just important to think about those relationships that you want to prioritize to keep that energy higher, because at the end of it all, the common denominator between everything the success that you'll create in your life, and talking about the success based on your definition, is going to be you and your energy. So what do you need to do to get your energy right and in alignment so that you can show up well for the things that matter most to you? Okay. So let's go back to my notes now. Hopefully that was helpful to you. So first off, let me just update you really quick since we're here around what's been happening too. So I've had some really cool projects. I've kind of alluded to them that I've been working on with different people, and I've made some hard decisions to stay home and say no to events that sound impressive, I guess, going back to the word impressive, but that also just didn't feel aligned in this season. And I found myself, this is how I made the decision to stay home, when I could have been invited to do something I really wanted to do, a part of a stage that has a big name, all the things. What helped me make that decision, which truly was a hard decision for me, was checking in with my energy. And this is a common theme that you always hear, right? So for me, it was like, what energetic place was I making the decision from? And I realized that my decision to leave my family very early postpartum when the event was happening, was really coming from a fearful place. It was like, oh, if I don't be part of this now, I won't get another opportunity. They'll forget about me. All of that was showing up for me. That's catabolic energy running the show. I talk a lot about energy, and I help people make decisions around, I don't feel like there is always, we don't always know what the right decision is. But what we do know is what we can know, at least if we pay attention to it, is the kind of energy we bring into our decision making. And we know that the world works in this energetic way. So that's why when I am helping people make big decisions, I try to get them to make the decision from a higher energy state. Because I know where energy goes, energy flows. What you put into something, you'll get out of it. So for me, what I was doing is I was putting this catabolic energy into it because I'm like, oh, I'm going to miss out. I'm never going to get this opportunity. And then I'm forgetting that who gave me opportunity in the first place? Where do opportunities come from? So once I finally realized that, I was like, you know what feels aligned for me is trusting and staying home with my baby in this early season versus chasing this thing outside of me and feeling like I'm missing out on opportunities. I'll never get it again. Those are just lies of the enemy. So that might be showing up for you in some area of your life. You feel like this pressure to do something, even though you might feel inside it's not the right timing, but you're like, if I miss out, I might miss out, or I won't be relevant, or, if I don't get this extra accolade, then I won't get an opportunity, or if there's fear running the show, and that's your reason for doing something, I want you to check in with yourself and be like, what would you do if you trusted things were always working out for you? If you believed in abundance of opportunity? If you knew you were always taken care of? What decision would you make then? All right, so we're going to shift gears a little bit. I'm going to give you a quick update on what happened with baby girl's delivery. So I ended up writing out my vision for what I wanted for this birth. And I even made myself a little vision board to go along with it. And this really helped because I was having some catabolic energy, as I would call it, start to show up around this whole experience, because even though I've done a home birth before, I thought, what if it's not as great as it was before? Because I felt like I had a good experience. And then I also am less naive because I know what's going down. I know the pain that's coming, all that stuff, So it was triggering some of the catabolic energy in me. So I shifted to what I would love to have happen and focusing on the vision of that, mantras that I was telling myself, saying, you know, I've done this before, I could do it again, I'm meant to be their mom, like those kinds of things, working on my mindset around it. And I'm proud to say that I had a really awesome home birth experience second time around. It was actually much more peaceful, I think, than even the first time around. It was a longer labor experience where my water broke at 12:30 in the morning and I didn't have my daughter until 12:04 in the afternoon, but it wasn't like intense the entire time. Whereas my son, when my water broke, for the 10 hours that I was in labor, it was intense the entire time. This was like not intense until the last 2 hours is when it really got intense. And I had a birth pool this time around. I didn't have that in the first birth. I had my son on the floor. This time I had an actual pool. And I ended up pushing my baby girl's head out while I was in the pool. And yet she had a shoulder dystocia. So her shoulder was stuck under, is it like my pubic bone or whatever? It's stuck somewhere. And the pushing wasn't working to get her all the way out. So my midwife is super experienced and I felt great with her care. So I ended up getting out of the pool. My husband actually had to lift me up towards the very end. I have baby's like head in between my leg, but she's not fully out. And then I had to do like a runner's lunge and push. And we ended up getting her out with the assistance of the midwife, and there was no tear. And baby girl was big, y'all. She was 9 pounds, 8 ounces, which she's a little chunk. She looks like I feel like she reminds me of a little chipmunk or a hamster because her like cheeks are so fat, like she's storing nuts in there. But she's just like such a bundle of joy, like, and she's so chill compared to my son as far as like her demeanor. And I just feel lucky to have them both because I love a little boy more. Like I feel, when I say more, I don't mean more compared to her. What I mean is that since I've had my daughter, I've realized how much I love my son even more. Like it's like my love. I didn't think my love for either of them could go up. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, there's an endless amount of love that you can give. And I just love my boy and I love my baby girl. And I feel so, so blessed. And I feel really good this postpartum time compared to my first. I'm just feeling so much better. But I also implemented a lot of things that I didn't, like I learned a lot from the first time around of how I didn't have the right setup for certain things to support me. And nutrition I'm really focusing on. I'm really focusing on coming back from this as not like, you know how like you bounce back from a pregnancy. I'm not talking about like bouncing back and just getting to where I was. I want to be even better than I was before, like energetically stronger, all those things. So I've been really thinking about implementing that and what that looks like in my future. But that is the latest around what's been happening. So I'm officially a mom of 2. So crazy to think about. And overall feeling good. And I'm excited about the future of my business, of all the things, because of really what this episode is about that we haven't really even jumped into mostly yet. So let me get my notes. I knew this episode was gonna be a little messy, but we had to update each other. Okay, so the other thing that has came up for me is just let me explain this well. James Van Der Beek, who is, if you're not familiar with him, he was an actor and really known for his role in Dawson's Creek, the show in the late 90s, and Varsity Blues, a movie at that time as well. And I've been following him online. I just love how he shows up in the world. He's a dad of, I think he has 6 kids or something like that. He has quite a bit of kids. But anyways, recently he was diagnosed with cancer. And he's been speaking about getting a colonoscopy and those kinds of checks and things like that. And also he's just been talking about his reflections on life. And I recently heard him talk about how he was so sad that he couldn't hold his kids and how he felt bad about that because he got really sick, with the cancer. And it really just made me think about me being able to hold my kids right now and how special that is. And it woke me up and shook me and I felt like at a time I really needed to be like, Ange, everything you desire, you already got, it's right here available to you. And anything else you chase outside of you, just bonus to have those additional things. But you really just want this time. You want to love on your babies. You want to show up and have joyful moments. You can do that anywhere. You can do that without having the thing that you think you need. And I want to remind you of that too, because sometimes we get so wrapped up in what we don't have, what we didn't do yet, and we forget, again, what is here for us right now. And someone who is at their last stages of life is like looking back and they're like, I don't care about all these achievements. I want to just be able to hold my babies. I want to be able to sit here and really enjoy this sunset. So he was talking about those things and this shift that was happening for him. And it just reminded me of this core takeaway that no one gets to the end of their life wishing they were more impressive, that they had all these additional accolades, worked on these projects, worked with these people. It's like, no, what they wish is that they had more time with the people they love. So I just want you to think about that being a priority in your life. And a lot of the career work that I do with people, it's like helping people design a career that aligns with the lifestyle they want to have, that aligns with their greatest values. Okay, so the other thing that he talked about was like just identity, how like he had chased, like being this actor, all these other things, and like none of that matters. Now at the end, it's like who really is he? He even talked about his identity with being a dad, like how it's like, this is like, I feel like I can't provide as a dad normally would, can't hold my kids as a dad normally would, like those kinds of things. So who am I? What am I now? And then he talked about that connection with God. And anyways, he passed away a couple days ago at the time of this recording. And he just really made me think about my life. So I wanted to share this whole concept of presence. And that was like his theme at the end, just being really present. And a lot of other people shared some stories about him and how they sat with him watching the sunrise, the sunset. And he was all about like, wow, like this is cool. Like that sunrise, that sunset. And it's just like these little things that so many of us take for granted. And I've just been really trying to focus on that, these little moments that I have with my baby girl, like when I'm holding her, watching her like eat, suck on her bottle, or trying to get her to nurse, and all the things. And I'm just like, these special moments that I have right here, right now, because there's another part of me that's like, oh, like I would feel like I was missing out. Like I wasn't, I watch these other videos from some of my peers in the space, other speakers, other consultants, coaches, and I hear about all the success that they have. Like they're doing these certain strategies, they're creating these results, they're speaking on these stages, they're doing whatever. And then I found sometimes myself feeling like, oh, like I'm not making any progress on that. Right. Well, it's like, yeah, like I'm in this postpartum season, but then I look at like, just look at how special this is. And I told my husband how I'm like, you hear that? Like, we woke up in the morning, we could hear our son. He was downstairs playing because we had just given him to my au pair, so she was watching him. So we were upstairs and just spending time with each other. And I said, do you hear that? Like his feet running, like you can hear the little footsteps running around and him laughing and stuff. And I'm like, it's like, this is what people talk about they miss in the future. Like those little footsteps in the house, they're running around, the chaos, like those kinds of things. It's like these special moments. And like, I want to be here fully for those. Yes, I still want to speak on stages. I still want to connect with people. I still want to help my coaching clients. And I want to be present with my family and not act like that, all the other stuff on the outside is better than this, because it's not. And what really people miss the most on their deathbeds is that quality time, that presence with people they love. So this thing I've been practicing more too is just being more present. And I think about like what I want my kids to see of me. Like I don't want them to see, like when I'm with them, like me always on my phone, looking and scrolling on my phone versus paying attention to them. And you got to be mindful of that. I also think about how I want them to see me handling the hard things of life, like how I show up from a faith-filled way, or how I show up being encouraging to those that are going through a hard time, or being a light in the darkness. Like I want them to see that. I want them to see that modeled in my life. How I speak my truth, how I don't do something just because someone else wants me to. That's been a big theme of my life recently. Like, whoa, there's been so many moments where I've felt like this pressure to say yes to something. And then I'm like, I don't even really want to do this. And this doesn't really benefit me. Like, why am I doing this? So I've been proud of myself around being honest about what it is I want to do and speaking my truth. And it's been so uncomfortable, but that's been a common thing that's been showing up for me because I don't want to be a liar in my life. And a lot of people pleasers, that's what they are. They're liars, doing things that they don't really want to do. You're putting that kind of energy into something. You're saying yes to something because you're afraid of what someone will think if you say no to the thing, if you speak your truth about it. So I want you to think about that too. Where are you doing that in your life? Because that's an energy thing. You're putting that kind of energy into something. And don't you want aligned energy? Like, I think about if I invite someone to do something, I want you to come and show up because you really want to, not because you feel like, oh, you don't want to disappoint me, because then you're bringing that energy into the setting that I'm in. How you can honor me best is by you being true about what it is that you really want. And that's just came up for me a lot with like different services people have offered me where I'm like, oh, I feel bad. I feel like I should say yes to this, but I'm like, I don't really even want this. And it's not going to be a good working relationship and really serve me if I'm putting that kind of energy into it. I'm only doing it because I feel like I should to be nice or whatever. It's like I'm just paying attention to the energy I'm putting into things and being intentional about the energy I want to put into something. Like when my kids are playing, I want to sit there and watch them. I get the greatest joy from sitting there watching my son play with his toys. I'm like, oh, he's okay. Like I can see how the wheels are turning and he's learning and picking up stuff. And, like so much joy from that. Watching my husband interact with my son, all of that. And this is another thing that's coming up for me is like, even just in my industry with a lot of speakers that I'm around, there's this chase that people have around like how much they can get for a gig, to a speaking gig, or what it looks like that they're speaking at all these different events and all this ego stuff that ends up showing up for people. And what I've realized is like, my goal is to have fun speaking. Like if I get paid less to be at a certain event, like I want to make a connection with people. Of course I want to get paid more. Like who doesn't? But I mean, like if I'm at an event and it's like, I want to just like help people and show up and connect with them and have fun at that event and not make myself feel bad when someone's like, oh, well, I'm getting paid X thousands and thousands of dollars to speak. And I'm like, oh, I didn't get paid that much for this event. And like making that seem like it's less than. Where it's like, no, I had so much fun at that event. I loved connecting with the people there. It kind of reminds me of what we do too when it's like, let's say you've never run before. Like you haven't really been into running. You don't consider yourself a runner and you do your first 5K and you're so proud of it and you want to celebrate it. But then you see Sarah online who's been doing like 2 marathons every 6 months or something or whatever, and she's like killing it doing these marathons, half marathons, whatever. And then you all of a sudden think, oh, like I don't want to share about my 5K because what's that when she's doing these marathons? And you do this comparison and it's kind of like you take away the joy from something that you made yourself proud. It's like that where I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore because that's also a lie I feel like of the enemy. It's like comparing versus being like, what we have here is so great. Even if you live in a small house that you don't have a lot and other people have like, mansions on the lake or whatever. And you can just be like, I love this little house. I love this little cup of tea that I'm having and just really enjoy it. Like that's what I'm trying to do more in my life. Not focus on what I don't have. Stop focusing on comparison. All this like lies of the enemy that cause scrolling, being consumed with what everybody else is doing versus listening to myself and my intuition. And noticing the gifts God has already given me and enjoying those. Like I just have been really thinking about focusing on that. And that's why too, I'm not on, so like, I don't feel like I ever was a big social media person, but like so many times people have been like, you didn't even post like anything about whatever big trip I did or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm just like, don't care. Like I love storytelling though. And that's one of the things I want to do more of is like, I just created a little, reel you can see on my Instagram of my first outing postpartum. And I'm like telling a story about what we did. I'm creating those really because I like storytelling and I want to share that experience and also download it and save it for myself. Like, I think that's fun and I want to do more of that. But as far as like just getting on to just, I don't know, just, I feel like it takes away sometimes from the presence that I want to have in my own life. But I like capturing moments. Like, so does my husband. Like, for example, my husband never gets online and then he'll get on and he literally did this the other day. He'll upload over 600 photos and his grandpa, we just talked to him on the phone. He was like, now I love you, Ian, but I'm not going to look at 600 photos. And he's like, I know it's not meant for you to look at. It's because I wanted to save all my photos, So it's like thinking that too is like, this is another thought I have, like doing something not because you think about how impressive it is to other people or what other people are going to get out of it. What are you going to get out of it? Like sometimes I want to post a video because I want to post it for me. I want it there for me. I don't care if anyone else looks at it. Like what do you, like, think about this year. Like what does it really look like for you to create a meaningful life? Like what are you not doing that would feel so good for you to just do for you, not to be impressive, not to get the likes, not to whatever, but because of you just want to do it because it would feel fun to you. Like I think about that being my reason for creation too, of projects that I'm working on. Like I'm like, oh, that'd be fun. That'd be cool if I did that. That'd be just fun to try it out. And I'm approaching that from a higher energy place with no attachment to the results. Not trying to impress. When you do that, magic happens in that space. It's this really good energy you're showing up with in life. You're curious, you're playful. There's no attachment. And there's so many stories that I've heard from people that I admire, and they're sharing stories about how they created something and they're like, I just was like, this would be cool if let me see how this works. Let me just try it out. And oh my gosh, now it became this big old thing. I wasn't expecting that. But they were just in this energy of playing. And I think that that's God energy, that creative, playful state that you see in kids. Like you could give that back to yourself this year. Like I think about that. I'm going to like a comedy event, like a comedy training event to practice like learning more about comedy for me, not because I want to be the next famous comedian. No, I just want to do it because it'd be fun. I'm like, this would be cool. Like to learn more about these jokes and writing them, and just like it sounds fun to me. So I've just been thinking about like what else sounds fun to do. Being in a creative, playful state. Being present with the people I love, focusing on what matters most. And when I catching myself, generating that catabolic energy, trying to, like, this is how it shows up for me. And I want you to catch it in yourself. Like when you feel like you didn't do enough and you feel like you need to be doing more for it to have been a good day, you should have done more, checked more things off your list. You should be farther along. The shoulds that show up for you, that's catabolic energy generating. So it's like noticing that and just being like, okay, let's shift this. What good happened today? What's something special in my life right now that somebody else would absolutely love to have? That's a good way, I think, to look at it too, because I know so many people that have gone through some really hard stuff recently. And I think about like, oh my gosh, like somebody else would love to have had this opportunity to go outside and get a coffee right now because they've been feeling so sick. They would love that. And I just think about like that special moment. And that shifts my mindset around stuff, because my old self would just focus on what I don't have, what's not good enough, what I didn't get accomplished. And I want to like shift that to like focus on what I do have, the special stuff that is here, and also trusting God's timing around things and focusing on prioritizing those relationships that matter most. For me, that's God, my marriage, so my relationship with my husband and my children, and my relationship with myself too, and how I treat myself, how I take care of my body. So those are some things I've been thinking about. I hope this episode has served you. It's got you thinking. Ooh, and one more thing I wanted to talk about. So James Vanderbeek, I just heard him talk about how what he felt like really makes sense is this vision work that, you know, how the new year and people are like new year, new vision, right? They're trying to like create this newness in the winter season. Like he was talking about how he wants to use the winter season to like rest, go inward, because that aligns with the season. And then if you think about spring, that's where it's like the newness comes in, the blooming, all of that. And so I loved hearing him talk about this, because I'm like, yes, like I felt like he gave me permission to be like, if you want to be still right now, if you want to chill and be slow in the season, like do it, because that's aligned with like what's happening outside, at least where I'm living in cold Indiana right now. It's the winter season. And I think about spring, I'm getting excited because I'm like, ooh, like spring season's coming. Like, what do I want to create? So I am proud too to say that I want to do another vision workshop, but in the spring, because one, I missed my typical January one, given the season I was in. I was hoping I could squeeze it in and I didn't make it happen. But now I'm like, yeah, everything happens for you, because I actually feel like it'd be so fun to do it in the spring season where we're excited for this spring newness energy. And right now, just taking the time to go inward. And maybe you have a vision for this season that you're in around what it looks like to go inward. But then when spring comes, it's like the freshness, the newness, and playing on that energy. So you'll hear an offer from me in the spring that we can do something like this together and support each other. I actually want to shift my program a bit. So where my Clarify Your Vision program is more focused on seasons. So we can work with the energy of like how the world is. And we can also check in with our vision and see like, what do we want for this next season? Because sometimes life changes so fast. It's like we might want something different in the next season, and we can check in and shift that vision more versus just having a vision for the entire year and thinking that's gonna like flow. I mean, I remember when I created my vision for the past year, I didn't have a vision that I was going to get pregnant and have a baby like in the next year. Like I didn't know that was coming. So like, I feel like it would be cool to focus more on the seasons. That's my point. So you'll hear that coming from me. All right. So I want to leave you with something to reflect on. So we talked about in this episode, really creating this meaningful life, like this life that you are really proud of, being present with the people that you love, noticing the goodness that you have right here, right now. And I think a big part of designing this meaningful life is thinking about the energy that you're putting into something and the decisions that you make. So as life continues to give you decisions to make, I want you to sit there. If you're struggling with any decision, like, should I do this thing? Should I not do it? Whatever it is that's showing up from you. And if you feel the catabolic energy showing up around making a decision, I want you to really check in with that and ask yourself, like, if I trusted more, if I believed in abundance, if I was prioritizing my family in this situation, what would I do? What would I do here? And maybe that will help you make some decisions that will help you design a really meaningful life. Not just one that looks good on paper, but one that feels right to you. All right. I would love to hear from you. I know it's been a while. Even if you just message me and say, hey, Ange, like I would love to see who's even listening nowadays since I had that little hiatus there. And I would just love to connect with you. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.